Hey all, Tony Bing here. Hello and welcome back to the channel. Now today we have a new video guide series, and this is one that I feel almost my hand has been forced on some of the recent decisions made by Foxnet. As much as I am a guide creator and what I enjoy doing is creating guides, I'm seeing a lot of mistakes being made here, so hopefully I can guide Foxnet to make some better decisions in the future. Now we've got various things we will discuss. I won't only do these videos when there's bad things to discuss, because there are good elements to the game as well. So in a way, I'm going to cover the good, the bad and the ugly of the game. Now in regards to the ugly, this is a recent development in regards to a player that was a sponsored player that was playing within modes and gaining free energy from Foxnet, which is a major issue. It's something I will discuss later on, but just to let you know, that will be coming up in this video. Now I want to start off by saying, of course I absolutely love the game. I've put in a ton of hours, I've put in a lot more money than I would like to actually admit to the wife as well, but it's Marvel, absolutely love it. The animations look great, the characters look great, and I really like the depth of combat with all the different combinations and teams, and it looks like with some of the recent buffs like Spidey and Visions that we're getting a bit more versatility in the teams we can use, and that is great, and that is a really good sign. So from the point of view of the gameplay and the characters, then things have been done absolutely spot on. I do have to say that first. Now when we get to the things that aren't being done as well, the first one I want to discuss, and when I discuss each of these points I'll always try and give away to actually improve it. Of course it is only my personal opinion, so in the comments below if you disagree, if you don't think it's an issue, let me know, or if you think you know a better way to resolve a particular issue, then do let me know about that as well. Now the first problem we have is in regards to the recent changes to Blitz. So we had the timer that was changed from 6 hours down to 2 hours. Now looking on Reddit, it's actually a bit of a split. You get some players that are saying they're now used to it, and personally when this first started I was massively against it. I don't know if it's just a case of Stockholm syndrome and I'm getting used to it now, but I found it's actually giving me a little bit more flexibility in that I don't feel that I have to log on at that exact 6 hours 3 times a day when I'm up to actually get my matches in. I can just log on when I can, and I've still managed to stay within the actual rankings to unlock characters, getting roughly about 100 shards at a time for them. Now the one issue I have is that it has split the community in. You've got some players that prefer the 6 hours and some do prefer the 2. Now I've seen a few suggestions, I believe it was per Pokemon, and this is a great suggestion, in that what if we had tokens in a way that you could use characters so many times within a day, and this would work similar to the charges, but instead what you can do, if you've got some free time in the morning, you log on and you can bump through that particular character in a team maybe, let's just say 5-10 times, and you can't use them anymore. And that's the same as using them over the course of the day when the timer actually expires. Now also with this you would have the ability for players that want to spend money in the game. It's very important with any changes we also keep the monetization aspect in. We do need money coming in for the lights to stay on, but you could have it so that players could buy additional charges. That's no different really from at the moment when players can spend power cores to keep going after they've used their character during that time. And so that's something I think that could hopefully make Blitz a little bit better. I do know they've reduced the rewards in Blitz. They were too high, they were obscene. I was personally farming, I think it was round about maybe 20,000 every few days, and I almost had too many of them that I was just spamming the random orbs, and I wasn't really bothered or being tactical about spending them at all. So they brought them down. I think they've brought them down a little bit too much, and I would like to see them jump up a little bit higher in regards to the rewards. What we have next is, this might be a personal issue for me, so I'm not seeing too many people bring that up, but I feel that the level cap increases came too early in the game, because a lot of people are getting the gold bottleneck where we simply don't have enough to upgrade our characters when they were level 60, and now we've got the option to upgrade them to level 65. Now the level cap being in place in some way allowed players that maybe can't put as much money into the game as other players to catch up a little bit, because it slowed down the mega spenders with the level cap being increased so early. And bear in mind, when the game first released it went from 50 to 60, and now a few months later we're 60 to 65. This means those players can speed ahead and other players feel massively under pressure, and that's even with the payday event as well. That has to come round more often, because the level cap has already been increased, we can't go back on it. But what we could do to help the players that are really feeling the gold crunch is just simply have the payday event happening more often than it is. I think at the moment it's maybe only once a month. Even once every 2 weeks would certainly help out, and there's still going to be the opportunity for Foxnet to sell gold bundles to players that want to level up their characters quicker. Now, another issue we do have, this is one that was a huge issue at the time, and it has to an extent been put to bed, but not fully. This was to do with Goldgate, where random players were selected for A/B testing and they were given a huge amount of gold. Now, whilst that particular variant of A/B testing was cancelled shortly after the huge Reddit uproar, we were made aware that it is still going to go on. Now, in a game that is so massively based around PvP, I really don't find this fair at all. Not really any solution I can come up with, because it looks like Foxnet are pretty adamant in that they will continue this, but my personal suggestion is I don't think it's a good thing for them to continue at all. The benefits might be that they can try out and see different amounts of currency they can give to players and how that affects analytics. However, I would say that any good this actually does for the developers is offset by the amount of ill will that it actually generates from players. Now, the next issue I would want to discuss is based around the huge amount of RNG we're seeing on top of RNG at the moment. So this is in relation to the Ant-Man and Wasp event, where we need to actually complete the levels in the first instance, and with the Wasp event it is exceptionally hard, and a lot of players I've seen that are using the same teams will fail on the level because the way the level's set up. So firstly, you've got RNG and actually beating the level in the first instance to get the shards. You then have the fact that you use your energy and there's a chance you may or may not get shards, and then finally when you save up enough of them, that's 2,000 of them you save up, you then have a chance that you can get anywhere from between 5 and 20 shards for the character as well. It's just simply far too much. You need to have some of those layers of RNG being removed. Now, I would say most definitely at least one of those layers, if not more, of RNG has to be removed. The one that could be removed, and the one that I think is causing a huge amount of frustration, is in regards to the difficulty of the level. Now, if you look at the difference between medium and hard, on medium you get potentially 9.3 shards for 1 energy spent, and on hard you get 10 shards for 1 energy spent. Now, the amount of frustration it can actually cause players who get stuck halfway through an event, is that worthwhile players having the chance to potentially get 0.7 more shards per run, because they may not even get them due to the level of randomness that is available when you're actually farming the shards. I don't think it's worthwhile, and I really would hope that in future we see the difficulty pull down on that. Now, on the subject of difficulty, there has been a bit of a trend recently, and this was first shown off with the Thanos raid rewards, and that in order to get Thanos shards, and it was called the Thanos raid, and it did say you could earn the Thanos shards, in order to get them you actually had to 100% complete the level 60 raid, and I think at most there's probably about 2 or 3 alliances that were able to do that. So 99.9% of other players were locked out of that particular raid, and of course you need to cater to whales because they want something to aim for, but they will almost always complete the content you put out there for them. Regardless how high you tune it, the whales will find a way to actually complete it. But if you tune it too high, you'll have the other percentage of players that maybe spend an alright amount in the game. So you've got your dolphins, for example, that could spend a fair bit. They are supporting the game, but they're locked out that content, and again it's frustrating to know they're supporting the game and they're not seeing anything in return for that. This could also apply to an extent to the recent Star-Lord event as well, the legendary one, where the unlock requirements are pretty tough, getting 5 characters to X amount of stars to unlock the character, but the actual levels were really difficult as well. Now, the hardest part should really be in the farming of the character. You shouldn't have it so that players could spend a lot of money and a lot of time farming a set of characters. It comes to a level, the level's completely solid and they're not actually able to pass it there. That's not good. When the Iron Man event first came round, it was one where the hardest part of it was forming the characters, and I believe that should be the standard method that's used going forward. Now, we'll actually finish up here discussing the ugly. So these are the big issues, and these really are the main reason that I'm doing this video. These are issues that I believe have to be discussed. Now, the first one is the changes to the raid milestones. So it used to be that alliances, in order to get all the milestones, there's 14 of them I believe, you had to get 130,000 points, which was doable if you were completing the level 50 raids in round about 16 hours or so. That has increased tenfold to 1.3 million. I've submitted a ticket to support asking if they put a 0 on by mistake, and they've not, so that is the way it should actually be. Now with that, it means that alliances will only get to round about milestone 3 or 4, so they're only getting every 2 weeks an extra 1,000 raid tickets there. It's simply not enough. This may be something that it's been put in for the level 65 raids coming in later, and they'll provide us with more points towards these milestones. But if that's the case, don't change the milestones yet in the game and make them unattainable. Wait till you actually bring in the chance for players to actually earn the points for the milestones before you actually change the milestones. Now, also on the subject of the milestones, the way they're set up, it's only really the top 3 alliances in the game that will get an okay amount of them. And I say an okay amount because even if you're the top alliance in the world, you only be getting enough tier 4 materials to upgrade one ability every 2 weeks. We've got round about 64 characters in the game with 4 abilities each. Doing the math on that very quickly, so that's round about 240 abilities, and the top alliance in the game can only upgrade one currently every 2 weeks. If you're on the lower range, where you're getting anywhere between, I think it's about 25% and 50%, you're looking at taking you 40 weeks to get enough tier 4 materials to upgrade one skill on a character that a future date may be changed, and as far as we're aware, you wouldn't see those materials back. So this is something that I believe that there will be other ways to actually earn these, but again, make us aware of the fact that there's other ways to earn these, because at the moment, if we can only see one way to actually earn them, and that one way is terrible, and we've been told this is the best way to earn them, which we have, then that's going to create a lot of concern within players, and it most certainly have. Now, tying in with this to an extent, talking about the fact that if we can get better rewards for the tier 4, we need to know about it. It's the communication. The game has been out for over 6 months now, if we include the soft launch period, and the communication has been minimal. At most, I've seen a few posts on Reddit, there's been a few replies on Twitter, but that's it. Now, personally, I'm okay with there not being a forum after the disaster that was the Marvel Heroes forums when that game started to get a little bit rocky. I'm not a fan of that at all. I do prefer the way the Reddit's running. The moderators on Reddit are doing a fantastic job, but if we're not going to have a forum, we need to have a more active presence on Reddit, especially when these big issues are happening. You've got, for example, like the Goldgate, when that kicked off, it really grew arms and legs, and the uproar was huge. And if we could have got some information early on in regards to that, it could have eased a lot of the concerns that players have. So I do know with Marvel, from speaking to the Marvel Heroes developers before, that Marvel's very strict in regards to information that can get given out, and that's the reason I believe that there's no roadmap for the game, because Marvel don't allow that, because it can spoil certain things. I can't say that with certainty, but that's how it used to be with Marvel Heroes. So we may not get a roadmap or anything like that, but what I would like to see is anything that is out with the licensing part of Marvel. I would like to see more communication around it, any errors and things along the lines of that there. Now, the final issue we need to discuss, and this is the biggest one, this is an absolutely huge issue, and it's potentially going to lead to a lot of problems for the game, I see, if it's not addressed as soon as possible. This is something I touched on at the start of the video, and it's the player that was actually a sponsored player. So as far as I'm aware, they're not an employee of Fox Next, they're not an employee of Marvel or anything like that. They're essentially a content creator. Again, as far as I'm aware, they've approached Fox Next and said, I can do content for you, and then in turn, of course, Foxnet will do something for them. Now, we were made aware that the player KnightlyGaming, who has been scoring pretty high on the leaderboards, received 300,000 energy in order to help him create content. Now, the big problem with this is the fact that it's done on the live server, so there's not a test centre. This player's not playing on his own. This is a player that was given 300,000 energy. This wasn't disclosed anywhere, and this player was actually playing live within all the different modes, the game and arena and then Blitz, and then we're scoring high and getting rewards. Now the knock-on effect with this, in every tier in Blitz and Arena there will always be one character that's one place over getting to that next tier. Now it only takes one person who's been given an unfair advantage, and this is an unfair advantage. It's the closest thing that could actually happen to somebody cheating within the game. And if we think a few months back, players were actually banned for taking advantage of an exploit that gave them extra energy. Yet here we have a player that's actually been provided with extra energy by Fox Next, and as mentioned, due to all the different tiers and the fact one player has to go out, that additional one player is having a knock-on effect on every single person that's just missing out on the next tier. It's simply not acceptable that something like this happens on a live server at all. What needs to happen, it's already done, the mistake's been made, but in my opinion we need to get a formal response as soon as possible, and we need to get a reassurance that this will not happen again in future. It's not acceptable that something like this is happening when people are putting a huge amount of money and time into the game as well. Now I think with that, that's just about everything I did want to cover. This video's ran a lot longer than I did expect, but once I got started then it was hard to actually stop. Now I will reiterate at the end here, I'm doing a bit of a shit sandwich as they call it, but this is an absolutely fantastic game. I do love it. From a gameplay perspective, so much has been done right. We've got the recent buffs to characters that are making them great. I do feel that the actual nerfs to Black Widow and Quake are justified because speed up and slow down are far too powerful. That may be controversial, I know, but I still feel they will be powerful with the 30% they still will be getting there. So game wise they're doing absolutely fantastic, but communication needs to be improved massively, and we need to see some of these decisions that are being made that take into account a larger portion of the player base. The game can't just be around whales. If you want to put offers in the store that are for whales, sure, do that, the whales will buy them, but don't cater all the gameplay around a small amount of players as well. So this is the first video I've done in this nature, so apologies if it is a little bit all over the place. Leave your comments below what you think. Do try and keep everything as constructive as we can, because if you want to see any change then you need to actually come up with solutions as well. But thanks for bearing with me through this longer than usual video, and I'll see you all again soon.